Well, hello and welcome. I'm Miss Heard with Miss Heard Song Lyrics Podcast. We're in season 4, episode 186. I can't believe we haven't done a Chicago. So, this is our first ever Chicago Miss Heard song lyric. The Miss Heard lyric is I'm a dickhead to you, baby. You're a hard habit to break. And then the correct lyrics is I'm addicted to you, baby. You're a hard habit to break. You guessed it, we're doing Chicago's Hard Habit to Break. Now, this song transports me back in time to my middle school dances and my middle school crush, Mr. Christian Stein. I know he's out there, I think dentist in Arizona. By the way, and his signature cologne, either Drakkar Noir or Polo. And I remember those dances because you were hoping that you would dance with your crush. And if you didn't get to dance, you'd be in the bathroom crying, telling your friends to tell that person, please ask Miss Heard Song Lyrics to dance with you. And this song was like the soundtrack during that time. I actually had the Chicago 17 cassette tape from 1984, which this song is a part of. And I tell you, every time I hear it, even now, it's like I'm that little teenager again, pining over my crush. So how did I digress? But I wanted to do this. And so the Miss Heard song lyric is dickhead. It's not, it's addicted. So let's begin. So at this time, in this song, great vocal voices. So you have a 40-year-old Peter Cetera, or Pete Cetera, which I had to look up. I'm like, oh my God, he was younger then at this time than I am now. And he is singing most of the verses. And then you have Bill Champlin, who was a mere 37 at the time, comes in for part of the songs and specifically the chorus with the Miss Heard of I'm Addicted to You, Baby. So great melding of voices. So what is Hard Habit to Break? It is a song written by Steve Kipner and John Lewis Parker and produced and arranged by the most famous arrangement and songwriters as well, David Foster, and recorded by the group Chicago for their 1984 album Chicago 17, which again, I have the cassette tape. It's around here somewhere in a box, but I have it. With Pete Cetera singing most of the verses, like I said. And then you have Bill Champlin, that just perfect fit. Ironically, I'm just going to do a little tease. The year of this song and the album was released in 84 is also the same year David Foster's current and fifth wife, Catherine McPhee, was born. And at that time, he was 35. So do the math. He's 35 years older than her. All right. And if the name rings a bell with Catherine McPhee, she was an American Idol finalist many years ago. So that's his current wife. And they're 35 years apart. And they have a little guy together. So there you go. All right. So released as the second single from the album, Chicago 17, it reached number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 and did not go further than that because of two songs and artists. One is Billy Ocean. Remember him? He had his song Caribbean Queen, or is it Caribbean Queen? Caribbean? He sang Caribbean. Caribbean Queen. So that kept it from going past 3. And Stevie Wonder's I Just Called to Say I Love You. So it kept it at 3. 3 is still good. I'd be happy for a top 3 Billboard Hot chart, but it didn't hit number 1 or number 2. It, like I said, just peaked at that number 3 spot at the adult contemporary chart. But overseas, it also did pretty well. On the UK singles chart, it hit number 8. So it was in the top 10 at least. And the song brought a lot of accolades. Chicago was nominated for this song in the categories of Record of the Year, Best Pop Performance by Duo or Group with Vocal, and Cetera and Foster were nominated for Best Vocal Arrangement for 2 or more voices. And then songwriters Kipner and Parker won the ASCAP Award in 1986 for Most Performed Song. So a lot of accolades and wins all around. And according to songfacts.com, David Foster produced this and the rest of the tracks of that Chicago 17 album. If you listen to it, it has all the same feel, sound. And then Foster had a long-standing relationship with Peter Cetera when Peter Cetera himself went solo. And then Foster continued to work with him with another Cetera hit, Glory of Love, which is this theme song to Karate Kid. Remember that song? Glory of Love. Yes, yes, yes. So the Foster sound was hot, but it said here in songfacts.com, it muted the band's famous horn section, which was a point of contention in the band and a disappointment to their longtime fans who were looking for an up-tempo, brassy sound and not keyboard-driven ballads. If you We'll go into the video in a little bit, but it has touches of a flute, and you'll see some horn, but not the usual like brass sounds that you always remember of Chicago. So let's talk about the album, Chicago 17. It was the 14th studio album for American band Chicago, like I said, released specifically on May 14th, 1984. It was the group's second release on the Full Moon Warner Brothers Records, and then it was their second album that was produced by David Foster. That I did not know. And their last with founding bassist vocalist Peter Cetera. So once he did 17, he went on his own and did pretty good as a solo artist, I have to say. There were 4 singles from Chicago's 17 album that placed in the top 20 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. One of them being another of my favorite after this is You're the Inspiration as well. Also, another soundtrack of my life at these middle school dances. So the success of the singles propelled Chicago 17 to achieve an RIAA certification of 6 times platinum. That's amazing. And Chicago 17 actually remains the biggest selling album in the band's history. I got to find that cassette tape. If not, I'm going to be downloading this off one of my, I think, Apple iTunes, because I need to hear these songs again. Like I said earlier, there was a lot of awards. In 1985, the album received 3 Grammy Awards. David Foster won for Producer of the Year, non-classical, tied in this category with Lionel Richie and James Anthony Carmichael. Humberto Gattago won for Best Engineering Recording, non-classical, and then both David Foster and Jeremy Lubbock won for Best Instrumental Arrangement, accompanying voices or vocals for Hard Habit to Break, which was also nominated for Record of the Year, Best Pop Performance by Duo or Group with Vocals, and Best Vocal Arrangement for 2 or more voices. That's a mouthful right there. And then Bobby Oliver, who was a writer for Billboard, said the album is, quote unquote, one of the greatest pure power ballad albums of all time, or at least from 1984. And Hard Habit to Break is one of the finest entries. I would agree, Mr. Bobby Oliver. I love this song. Like I said, it just brings me back. So if you remember the way the album, in my case, cassette, looked like, they have it with, like most of the majority of the albums, they had the traditional Chicago logo, but it looked like on the album cover, and in my case, the cassette tape cover, it did not feature any photos of the actual band Chicago, but it looked like the logo of Chicago was wrapped in like some kind of brown paper tied with twine, we would assume, on the back. And then the number 17 was not in Roman numerals, but regular, what they call Arabic numerals. So the 1 and 7 was the bottom right. So that's how it looked at that time. And if you have it, pull it out, listen to it, because it's amazing. And then the music video, there was a music video. So Chicago wasn't really known for like being like always the top many plays and music video, but hey, they still got a music video out there in the world of MTV. And when I looked it up on YouTube, so look it up, since someone put it up on October 16, 2021, so that's only just this year, will be 2 years old, it's already racked at almost 3 million views, and I'm part of a couple of that watching this for this segment. The video for the song was directed by a woman director, Leslie Libman, who also did their other music video, You're the Inspiration. Again, I love that song. So I had to look up, who is Leslie Libman? Well, she's an American television director. She also directed commercials and music videos. But interesting thing is, since 1995, she's worked as a TV director on a lot of television series. Let me just name a few. One being Homicide, Life on the Street. I used to watch that. The 4400 and NCIS, which we still watch. Other series that she has been a part of is The Wire, Oz and the Shield. So a lot of these hard drama courtroom, or either cop or prison, which is The Wire. And then for MTV, she created and directed with her late husband, Larry Williams, Out of Order, series of 6 original short films. Now, like I alluded to before, doing all her television work now, she and her husband, who passed away, Williams, found a directing team creating commercials. So here's some of the commercials they created. They did American Express, Christian Dior, McDonald's, Panasonic, and Sony, and they did music clips for the likes of Boy George, The Church, Al Green, Ziggy Marley, and the Melody Makers, and more. And then without her husband, Williams, she directed music video for the Bangles, Bee Gees, Chicago, the one we're talking about today, Michael McDonald. That's my impression of Michael McDonald. Roy Orbison, and Rod Stewart, to name a few. And so let's talk about the video. Have you seen it lately? It's Pizza Terra primarily, intermixed with the rest of the band, performing, I think, in a dark soundstage, and then they have this spotlight over their heads. All you see is just a little bit of their face and maybe their instrument, but not a lot. So it's like shadows, with their heads intermixed with scenes of, at one point, a young couple that I think are fighting, and then they make up. And then multiple other women, some smoking, others don't. Some also look like they're from a set from a 1920s Valentino silent film. A little confusing, but it is what it is. Watch it. I'm curious to see what you think of it. But there you go. Excuse me, coughing. Anyway, it is hitting almost 3 million, and it still holds time. Like I said, when I hear that song, I just melt and think about my youth. So if you have great suggestions like Hard Habit to Break or any other misheard song lyrics, please send them in to any of our social media sites like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or just email us at misheard, MISSHEARD songs at gmail.com, and you might hear your misheard song lyric on the air. Thanks again, and keep singing those songs wrong. Bye.